Hey everybody, it is Trags Mike Petraglia back with the latest installment of the Jungle Roar Bengals post-game pod, along with Richard Skinner. Skinny, as we know him, of Local 12 and Local12.com, following a 26-20 loss to the now 10-2 New England Patriots. Skinny, I know we were talking off camera. It just seemed like Sunday the game was there for the taking, really from the start of the game, and the Bengals couldn't take it from the Patriots. They found another way to lose.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part of it. I mean, we've seen them lose because the defense has been awful. We've seen them lose because the offense has turned the ball over. Today was there, to your point, for the taking. You got the pick six early, and it was a gift pick six. I mean, I don't want to take away from Geno Stone intercepting that pass, but it was thrown right to him, and it was a heck of a return. Drake May looked ugly at times, didn't he, Mike, early in the game? I mean, missing all kinds of easy throws really badly. And then, unfortunately, Joe Flacco gifts them a touchdown when he tried to throw a check down in the flat and threw a pick six. And then that first drive of the second half, they got him backed up deep. Demario Douglas makes that great sliding catch over the middle, gets him out of the hole. And then you have the great goal line stand, and you think, okay, maybe this team has a little pep in its step. They held him out of the end zone on, felt like 15 plays. It was about 10, I think, when all was said and done.
Nine.
Yeah, nine. Okay, nine officially,
yeah.
And you thought, okay, this team has a chance to do something. But then it got really ugly with all the injuries, and you see T. Higgins go down, and then you still almost pull it out in the end. I mean, Joe Flacco gets you to a point where you've got a shot to get to the end zone and just couldn't get it done there, unfortunately. And I don't want to call this a microcosm of the season, but when seasons go haywire, this is the way you lose games.
No question. And I think, certainly we're going to get to Joe Burrow because he's the biggest story post-game, I think, out of Zach Taylor's press conference that, barring anything unforeseen, they do plan to put him on the field Thursday night in Baltimore. But this felt like kind of a painful swan song for Joe Flacco, both figuratively and literally. You watch the way he played early on. It was hard for him to get into any rhythm. The Patriots defense was playing very aggressively, playing up on the wide receivers, including T. Higgins. And then later in the game, Joe Flacco was able, with I think some of the help of the running game, to kind of stretch them out a little bit and find plays here and there. But it really felt like Joe Flacco never got into an offensive rhythm on Sunday.
Yeah, this looked like kind of the Joe Flacco of the last, 2 or 3 years when you saw him from afar, either, watching the game on TV or, we've covered him a couple times over the last few years when he's been with different teams, including the opener this year in Baltimore, where there's times he still looks like the Joe Flacco who can rip it. And then there's times where he's the Joe Flacco who throws a pass. You're like, why? Where was that going? And in defense of him today, to your point, Mike, I mean, the receivers didn't win a ton as the game went on. Early on, they found some success with Mike Gesicki. Maybe that got taken away. I wouldn't have minded seeing them go back to more of that. Right. Andre Yoshevach really didn't win a whole lot until late in the game. It did make a couple of nice plays late in the game. T never felt like he was, a major factor, despite him being the number one option this week because of no Jamar Chase. And I just never felt like he could get into any kind of rhythm. You get a couple of first downs, you feel like you're in a range to get yourself into at least field goal range, and then you couldn't do that. Then they had that 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter that they didn't go for on their own 40, which was a little disappointing. I thought that was a chicken move there. I think he should have gone for it in that situation. But, and you just couldn't do it. And still, you hit the ball, and you hit a couple of big pass plays and get the pass interference, get all this stuff going your way, and you're thinking, okay, he might pull this out. And what a swan song. He would have deserved to pull that out that way in what was probably going to be his final start. Instead, he busts his finger on a hand and comes up 25 yards short of the end zone of the final drive.
Yeah, and the fact that he was on the sideline trying to pop that finger back into its natural socket indicates to me, and should indicate to everybody, how badly he wants to play football.
No doubt.
He said that in the post-game press conference, that he still wants to play football and play football at a very high level. I live for football. I love football. Those were some of the quotes from Joe Flacco post-game. And obviously, I think it's been well documented, Skinny, that Zach Taylor and the coaching staff certainly appreciates Flacco's dedication to the Bengals in the absence of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, they should have won at least 2 more games in the Joe Flacco era. And if you'd have won the 2 games, the Jets game and Bears game, when he played at a very high level,
right.
you'd still be talking about being in the playoff hunt with Joe Burrow coming back, despite probably being, let's give them 2 wins there, 5-6. You would not be on the outside looking in, and you'd have your quarterback coming back. You still would have the issues on defense. I'm not sure that's that Joe Burrow can overcome all of that against good teams, but you still would have been in it. Now it's more, I think all you're hoping for is that Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt in the time that he plays down the stretch here.
Let's look at Joe Flacco's numbers. If indeed this was the final start in a Bengals uniform for Flacco, 19 of 37, 183 yards. He was sacked once. He threw a touchdown, which was a beauty to Mitchell Tinsley, I thought.
Yes, it was.
On a fade to the back corner of the end zone. And he also threw the pick six, which was a killer. He knows it was a killer, but those were the numbers for Joe Flacco. Early on, he just couldn't get the offense in any rhythm.
Yeah, to your point, that throw to Tinsley was a beauty, and it was against their best corners, against Christian Gonzalez. I mean,
yes.
And listen, give Tinsley credit. I mean, it was a great. He beat him off the line of scrimmage, ran a great route. Again, it was a great ball. And then how about the catch he comes up with on that last drive along the sidelines? I mean,
yes,
good for Mitchell Tinsley, because that was a lot of our story at some point in training camp. You're always trying to find the random guy who kind of piques your eye. Probably never makes the team, but he's a good story for a couple of weeks. Mitchell Tinsley's been much more than that. Whenever he gets a chance, he produces some good things.
Well, it's going to be Mitchell Tinsley, Jamar Chase, probably not T. Higgins
Right.
on Thursday night. That concussion looked pretty nasty on the field. It took T. Higgins about 5 minutes to get off the field and into the locker room. He did climb into the cart and sat up on his own, but T. Higgins' mom was back, worried, but she tweeted after the game that it looks like he's going to be okay. But I mean, there's one thing to being okay. There's another to clearing NFL concussion protocol.
Yeah, I mean, that looked as nasty as it comes, to the point where, this short week is no chance. You're just hoping to maybe that he can clear the cobwebs and be ready to play,
right.
The game after that. I mean, the short week, there's no shot whatsoever. But, man, the way his head hit that turf, it really, you knew. You could even, this is one of those ones you can just feel, even though it didn't happen to you. You can just feel it just because of the way it occurred, and you had to feel for T. Higgins there.
T. Higgins, 5 catches, 6 targets on the day, only 31 yards. And for the first time, I believe it is, in 6 games, he did not have a touchdown catch. Certainly Zach Taylor and Joe Flacco both gave props to the Patriots after the game. You have to give credit to what the Patriots were able to take away in terms of the passing options downfield from the Bengals.
Yeah, and their defense really, that is kind of the reason they won this game, to be honest with you. I mean, they got banged up along the offensive line. They had, two starters on the left side, another starter on the right side who went down at different points in the game. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you only usually carry 3 backup offensive linemen on a game day. I mean, you were stretched to the limit at that point with the injuries that they had. And they did enough on offense, but really their defense kind of carried the day. The Bengals scored 20 points, and 7 of those were on a pick 6. So their defense gave up 13 all day. Give me
a good reason why Joe Burrow should play Thursday night.
It's what football players do, Mike. I get it, and you're not alone. I mean, there's a lot. I've heard it. I know you have too, from fan bases on call-in shows, and fans just asking you, or me, and friends asking me, and friends asking you. What's the point of him playing? I mean, he's a football player. I think Zach Taylor told us on Friday, winning is important. I know fans don't want to hear that, because now you're looking and going, get the best draft pick. Well, these guys have put in all this time and effort and energy in a training camp, sweated through that, battled through games in which they're suffering, bings and bangs and bumps and bruises and all that stuff. And they keep answering the bell. And then all of a sudden you're going to say, no, Jamar Chase, you've gone out there, or whoever, I know it's probably a bad example because he's been suspended for a game, but Jamar's answered the bell other times. You got to play, and Joe Burrow doesn't, even though Joe's healthy. The only good reason I could give you, in my opinion, Mike, is if he's not fully healthy. I don't want this to be a pain management thing, like Joe's going to manage the pain, and he can play, but it's a matter of pain management. No, we're not doing that game. It's either he's a full go or he's a no-go. And I know people, if he's a full go, don't want him to be any go, but it's what football players do. It's football season. You play football. You're getting paid to do it.
Have you seen the forecast for Thursday night in Baltimore?
I have not. I can't imagine. The way you're phrasing this sounds like this is a bad night for Joe Burrow to be returning.
Do the words polar vortex mean anything to you?
Oh, that's not good, Mike.
Nope,
that's
not.
Bad. Oh, no.
So we're expecting temperatures mid-20s but it will be breezy out of the north, and we're expecting wind chills down around 10 or 12 degrees. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, and to be playing on that surgically repaired toe, it is what it is. If Burrow wants to go out there, no one's going to stop him, I guess. And, he is going to say, take your approach and take your attitude. What do football players do? They play football. So we'll see how he handles the cold, but it's going to be a cold one.
And I will tell you, Mike, your point is a fair one where that's concerned too. I think you should factor that into the decision-making process as well. Like, the body doesn't react the same in the cold weather as it does other times.
Right.
The extremities get very cold. They get very challenging. It's that should be taken into account as well. But I think to the point of this is it's none of it's going to matter. He's going to play on Thursday night.
And Jamar Chase will be back, but
Yep.
T. Higgins, as we mentioned, probably won't be. How does that change the dynamic for Joe Burrow?
I mean, Jamar is a much more dynamic player than T. Higgins is. I mean, T, I think, has proven over time he's a nice Robin to Batman. I mean, he does some really good things and at times does some spectacular things. But if he has to be the man, like I could never see a game where T. Higgins got 23 targets, that he worked his way into that situation like a Jamar Chase did. So I think it's more significant getting Jamar back. I will say it's been interesting that, the offense with Jamar and without T actually had pretty much the same production as the offense without T and with Jamar, like with one not being there and the other. It would seem to me to be like when Jamar's there, it's probably a little bit better. And it's really not been. It's been about the same. Obviously, when the both are together is when it's at its best. But I think getting Jamar back is significant because you can do a lot of different things with him that you just can't do with T.
I'll tell you what really impressed me offensively today and continues to impress me. The offensive line, the run blocking, and Chase Brown. Chase Brown's numbers today, Skinny, let me just go over this.
Yep.
19 carries, 107 yards, a long of 21, 5.6 average. Receiving, Chase Brown had 4 targets, 2 catches, and 23 yards. So all-purpose yards, you're looking at 130 yards.
Yeah, I did a fantasy football show early this afternoon, kind of just previewing the game. I do it every once in a while on Sirius Radio, and they were asking me, what can we look for in this game? And I said, he said, Chase Brown hasn't run it well of late. I said, no, Chase Brown's actually run it really well. I said, and his yards from scrimmage are really good of late. I said,
right.
If it's me, I'd probably find a way to get Chase Brown in my lineup, even though you're playing against the number one run defense. I even said, I don't know what he's going to run for, but I do think he's going to have over 100 yards from scrimmage because they've used him so often in the check down game. And the funny part was he did have great efficiency running the football today, and they didn't use him a ton in the check down game. So he still got over that 100-yard threshold, and I think he was a guy before the season started, Mike, I thought was going to have a breakout season. I thought he was going to set the single-season team record for yards from scrimmage, and because he can do so much. And I think they've kind of found that way to get him involved in those things again. And to your point, the offensive line's opening some things. All you need is a little bit of space for him to get to the second level.
Right.
And he is going to do some special things. I'm still waiting for him to pop that really, really long one, right?
So he almost popped a 98-yarder
I know
today.
he did, yes.
And when he hit the second level, I was sitting next to Charlie Goldsmith and James Rapine, and they're like, uh-oh, here it comes. And he got down the field for, I think it was a 25, 28-yard gain. And it was the kind of electric run, I think, like you said, we've been waiting on all season.
Yeah, no, he's going to pop a couple before this season's over with. But I think it's the consistency right now. It's 6 here, 8 there, 4 here, 7 there. Those are the ones to me that I think are the most impressive. He had a couple today where there was a little hole, but he put his head down in traffic and got another couple of yards surging forward. And to your point about the offensive line, I mean, early in the year, he'd take a handoff and there was nowhere to go. I mean, he was hit right away. That's not happening now. And it shows you now over the last 5 or so games, honestly, pretty much since the second half of the Green Bay game, that they have found something in the running game. The offensive line has found something in the running game. The coaching staff has found something, and Chase Brown is taking full advantage of it.
I actually thought they could have gone to the run game more in the second half as opposed to passing the ball so much on second and long and third and short. Really good team, Skinny, and I know you've been around really good teams. They put their nose to the grindstone on 3rd and, let's say, 3, and find a way to get those 3 yards.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. It's an interesting team because you don't really have a star receiver. Stephon Diggs, I guess, is that guy, right?
Right.
But he's on the backside of his career. Hunter Henry's kind of on the backside of his career a little bit. You got a rookie running back mixed with a veteran running back, and they are both hard-nosed runners. And Drake May has been spectacular, other than for whatever reason the first quarter and a half today when he was awful. And you know what good teams do, Mike, when things are not going well, and your quarterback has thrown a pick six. The good teams find ways to win games like the Patriots did today. They just hunkered down on defense, got themselves a pick six back, and then started getting stop after stop after stop. I mean, let's not forget, for the Bengals, the 20 points, 7 of them came on a pick six, and 3 of them came on a 63-yard field goal, for goodness sakes.
Let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about first the good. There were a couple of moments that stood out beyond the Geno Stone 33-yard pick six return for a touchdown that made it 10-0 Bengals in the first quarter. There was the stop. I thought one of the best moments of the season defensively for the Bengals when they stopped the Patriots 9 times inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, especially, look, I mean, you're 3-7, right? They're about to go up 2 scores on you. And it could have been a woe is me moment. Like, it was a penalty that got us down here. Shame on us. Okay, yeah, I'll do my job. But I mean, they gritted their teeth, man, and dug in 9 times. Yep. Good for them. I thought they were, Mike, I know you've complained about this, and rightfully so. I thought they were more physical run defensively
yes.
today. I really
no
did.
Doubt.
I saw Geno Stone stick his nose in a few times. I like the fact that Al Golden ran, it felt like more blitzing. At least I saw Geno Stone flash on blitzes a handful of times. So I did like some of those things. I saw Chris Jenkins show up on a play where he affected a pass. I didn't see much more of Chris Jenkins. Now, then I also saw, I'm praising some of the stuff Geno Stone did because I want to be fair, but there was also the touchdown to Hunter Henry that was a complete coverage bust where he ran up to cover somebody in the flat where a linebacker was already covering somebody in the flat, and the guy runs right up the sideline wide open, pitch and catch.
I mean, you cannot do that. And here's the problem with that, Skinny. And it's not like we're picking on them. It's the repetitive mistakes. How many times in training camp, even in OTAs, do we hear Zach Taylor saying, it's okay to make the mistake, but make it once. Don't make the same mistake 2 and 3 times. Well, the Bengals are doing that.
Well, the other thing they're doing is, like, on that play, I mean, I don't know if Geno didn't hear the call correctly. I don't know, if he was trying to cover for a rookie linebacker because Demetrius Knight was out there in the flat. If he thought, hey, I'm going to read this and come downhill and get me another pick six and got selfish. You hear this all the time, too, of the whole do 1/11th. Do what you're supposed to do on the play. Right. Don't try to do too much. Don't cover for somebody. Don't try to go make something spectacular out of nothing. Instead, you running up to cover a running back in the flat from a safety spot when you're playing 2 safeties on the hash marks. Guy was right in your vacated spot for an easy touchdown. Did you think the linebacker was going to cover for you back there?
So, speaking of the linebackers, the Bengals are going to have to do something in the offseason when they address all levels of their defense, specifically linebackers. I am not going to kill Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr., and here's why. They're rookies.
Yep.
If you expected them to come in as upper middle round picks and be playmakers right away, shame on you. And I don't know if that's what the Bengals truly were thinking when they were having private meetings, but you've got to have veteran players around them who can show them the ropes. I thought Logan Wilson was that guy, but it didn't work out for whatever reason. Why do you think, by the way, going back to that, why do you think Logan Wilson didn't work out in that role?
I just don't. He just didn't look athletic. I mean, he looked like the injuries had taken something away from him, and then he started to cheat and take bad, weird angles and do things that are out of character for him. And I think at that point they just go, let's just put a better athlete on the field, and we're going to live with those mistakes in this specific
I mean, they're
season.
Bad mistakes.
Oh, Mike, there's some terrible mistakes, no doubt. And I kind of hearken this to the year where Jesse Bates left in free agency. I think they were taken by surprise when Von Bell left in free agency because I think they really were planning on having Von team with Dax Hill and have him make all the calls and corrections and let Dax learn that. Instead, it was Dax back there for the first time with free agent Nick Scott, who you signed in the offseason from somewhere else. Neither one of them knew the D. I mean, they're 2 guys flying blind at the same time, trying to learn from each other. Von Bell could have set that stuff straight. I don't know if Von could have still played because he didn't have a very good year in Carolina,
Right.
came back to all this. But I think that's where you were at that spot with that position. And I think this year, as much as I thought Logan would be out of a starting job by week 5 or 6, I said that on the preseason podcast we did with Paul Daner Jr., just because the athleticism, I just didn't see it any longer from him. But at the same time, I didn't know if they were going to go with 2 rookies playing side by side. That's a big ask, man. That's like in baseball.
Unrealistic.
That's having a rookie catcher, a rookie shortstop, a rookie second baseman, a rookie. Oh wait, the Reds almost did that, I think, at some point. But still, you know what I'm saying? It's the whole up the middle. It's an important spot.
Yeah.
Now Barrett did some things today. I think he had 14 tackles, something along those lines. Those weren't always positive tackles, mind you. There's tackles that are after an 8-yard catch, after a 6-yard run. But he did have 14 tackles, so he was active.
He actually finished with 16 tackles.
16, okay, yeah, okay.
8 solos, 8 assists, and that was it. But so that's a big number. Geno Stone had 13, including 6 solos.
At least, I'll tell you this, at least it looked like Geno Stone wanted to tackle today. That was nice.
Yeah. Hunter Henry had, and I knew this would happen coming into this game, 7 receptions, 10 targets from Drake May, 115 yards, and including the 28-yard touchdown where there wasn't anybody within 15 yards of him. Bengals are not alone in having difficulty defending tight ends, especially good ones, athletic ones, tall tight ends. But they're going to have to find a way to address this next year going forward.
Yeah, and again, I think it starts with you need better play in the back end from your safeties. You need linebackers who can run with those tight ends every once in a while. You can't always have a safety on those kind of guys. At least be physical with them coming off the line of scrimmage, because it just feels like they can get an 8-yard pass to a tight end anytime they want. They can get a corner route to a tight end when they want. They can get a seam route to a tight end. And today you got a tight end running free up the sideline, wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it just can't happen. But, we've seen it time and time again this year. And, the Bengals and their fan base just have to settle with it and accept it until it gets fixed next year. I want to go back to Joe Burrow. He is expected to start on Thursday night in Baltimore. What are some of what is the word I want to use? Safeguards, safety rails that the Bengals should put in place for him, or do you let that Ferrari just get out on the open road and go?
It's a great question. What is it? One of his strengths, right, is the off-script plays. What was he most proud of last year was his ability to make more off-script plays than ever. And listen, you'll agree with this part of it, and maybe disagree with the overall premise. I mean, off-script plays are what great quarterbacks do a lot of times. I mean, it's why they're great quarterbacks, is they can run around for a bit and then sling 160 yards cross field to some receiver who's broken off his route and is wide open for a touchdown. That wasn't drawn up. I mean, that's an unscripted broken play, and that's what great quarterbacks do. But I'm not so sure here. I don't almost play the Joe Flacco game of, listen, man, 1 read, 2 reads, get it out of your hands, check it down, be done with it.
Yeah.
I know it's not your game. We want that. That's a safeguard for you. We don't want a lot of bodies around you in the pocket. I mean, I'm even trying to think, Mike, on an accidental circumstance, like there's a pass rush, it holds up pretty good. Joe gets rid of the football and the pass rusher, not intentionally, and just steps on that toe. I'm just trying to think of what the pain level of that would be, or the significance of what that would be in a completely accidental situation. So, I don't think I'm going to take a whole lot of risks with this. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just say, if you're going to play, and he is going to play, you just play the game the way you think you need to play the game. I don't know if I'm going that route.
About the New England Patriots, I don't know if you remember this, but I did cover them.
When?
And one of the things that I think the Bengals could learn from the Patriots, the way they rebuilt, and I understand they have a quarterback who's under a rookie contract.
That helps.
I get that, but you're going to have to tear apart the defense the way the Patriots tore apart the defense, and be surgical in your replacement of certain players at certain areas. And even though the defense was better today, they still gave up a 3rd and 11. They gave up a 3rd and 17, Skinny. I mean, come on. Get off the field on 3rd downs. You get those 2 stops. And what were the Patriots today on third down, they were 5 of 13. That's actually not too bad, but they easily could have been 3 of 13. Right. The Bengals are going to have to take a page out of the Patriots book, and I just don't know how willing they are to do that.
Yeah, in fact, I wrote a piece this week of there's a blueprint of how to turn things around in 1 year. I mean, let's not forget, New England came into Cincinnati last year, arguably the worst team in the NFL to start the season, and they beat the Bengals, but still went 4-13. The one thing they did find, they found their rookie, they found their franchise quarterback when Drake May started to play. So that was a big building block, in my opinion. They drafted extraordinarily well this year. I mean, Mike, as you know, they had 2 rookies starting on their offensive line. They've started all year on their offensive line. They've got a rookie starting at safety. I believe they have a rookie starting. I think they have 4 rookies starting. And Travion Henderson isn't listed as a starter, but he's their leading rusher. So they drafted extraordinarily well this year. Had a good draft a couple years ago. Christian Gonzalez was in that class. Drake May was in the one last year. And then they did have more money than the Bengals. The only difference I put in the story was the Bengals can't completely follow the blueprint because they won't have as much salary cap money as New England did this past offseason. But I thought some of the lesser signings, like Harold Landry, Chason, guys like that supplemented. In fact, their big free agent signing was hurt. Milton Williams. Now he's been really good when he was playing, but he's on injured reserve.
He did not play today.
Yeah, no, he did not play today because he's on injured reserve. But they were also very calculating, I thought, in what they did in free agency signing wise. They signed Matt Collins, a wide receiver. They signed Stephon Diggs. They're living without a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins and doing just fine on offense.
They are, and again, this comes back to, do you regret signing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? I don't. I think the Bengals did what they should, and I know we've had the debates and arguments over this before, but when you give Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, there aren't very many teams in the NFL that can stop that, and that's the way this team was built, for better or for worse. It's just that on the defensive side of the ball, they have to be coached better, and I think the coaching was a little bit better today. I don't actually remember anybody like coming off the field unorganized, scrambling. How many times have we seen this season with defensive players going on the field, coming off the field, going on the field, like not knowing where they're supposed to be going? I didn't see that today, so that's at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, we've seen that a ton this year. I mean, there are times you'd start counting, going, there's 12 out there. Somebody didn't know he was supposed to be off, or a late line change in hockey because they saw a personnel grouping and they were trying to mix and match personnel groupings. Maybe that's a little step forward there. That at least you can get out there and get lined up right.
What you working on, Skinny?
The ode to Joe Flacco. That the era should be remembered more fondly. It's going to be remembered because they only won 1 game. But I thought he was an absolute shining example of professionalism. You got the chance to see him really at a high level for a handful of games, and I think the shoulder injury eventually compromised that a little bit. And obviously then, not having Jamar today certainly didn't help. But I mean, the Joe Flacco era should be remembered as one of the most fun things that has happened in a long time, and one of the, again, just an ode to professionalism. And all we're going to remember is, they went 1-6.
Yeah, and I asked Joe Flacco towards the end of the press conference about what it is to accept a situation when you're in the situation that Joe Flacco's in. And he said, that's sometimes the hardest part. You have to just focus on the playing. I said, is it just as easy to worry about play after play after play as opposed to worrying about, am I playing next week? Am I playing after halftime? Just little things that can creep into your head. And I thought Joe Flacco gave an outstanding answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a big process guy, and I think a lot of successful people in the league are process guys and not big picture people, and he's one of those. And I mean, just to come in on a Tuesday and start on a Saturday and then start playing at a high level, and you start dreaming of, hey, he's going to really get them to Joe Burrow. He's really going to do this. And unfortunately, the defense let him down, and then he kind of turned into a pumpkin a little bit. But I just think what all he did should be remembered far more fondly than it's ever going to be remembered.